Tony Tormenta. Antonio Ezequiel Cardenas-Guillen, known as Tony Tormenta, took over leadership of the Gulf Cartel after his brother Ojael was arrested. At the same time, Los Zetas, once the cartel's armed wing, had broken away and become its deadliest enemy. Tony commanded his own private army called Los Escorpions, a squad made up of former police officers trained in heavy weapons and brutal tactics. So brutal that he caught the attention of the Mexican Marines. For months, they tracked him across Tamaulipas, nearly catching him several times. But each time he escaped, protected by convoys of gunmen and armored vehicles. By late 2010, the government made his capture a top priority, and Matamoros, his home city and stronghold, became the main battlefield. On the morning of November 5, 2010, more than 660 Marines, backed by helicopters and armored vehicles, surrounded downtown Matamoros. Roadblocks went up, cell service was cut, and power went out in parts of the city. For hours, residents hid in fear as gunmen fought openly in the streets. Gulf Cartel sicarios hijacked buses to block military convoys. Snipers fired from rooftops, and over 300 grenades exploded during the clashes. By the afternoon, the Marines located Tony in a downtown building. Helicopters fired from above as the military pushed through. When they broke in, they killed Tony and several of his bodyguards. Across Tamaulipas and beyond, new roadblocks, grenade attacks, and shootouts erupted as news of his death spread. Los Zetas celebrated by hanging banners mocking the Gulf Cartel and inviting Tony's men to switch sides. El Mexicano. By 1989, Gonzalo Rodriguez Gacha, also known as El Mexicano, was one of the most feared leaders of the Medellin cartel. But by then, he had gone to war with almost everyone: the Colombian government, the DEA, the Cali cartel, FARC guerrillas, and even former allies in the emerald trade. His empire was falling apart, and his enemies began working together to bring him down. The final hunt began when a police informant secretly working for the Cali cartel revealed his location. Police traced him to Cartagena, but he escaped by boat to Tolu with his son Freddy and several others. Unfortunately for him, one of them was still feeding information to authorities. On December 15, 1989, two military helicopters carrying elite police units launched the attack. At first, Gacha and his men tried to hide by dressing as farm workers. But when helicopters circled overhead, they ran to a red truck and attempted to escape. A running gunfight followed across the countryside. Near a group of trees, some of his bodyguards and his son Freddy exchanged fire with police and were killed. Gacha, with one bodyguard left, kept fleeing in the truck until they abandoned it and tried to escape on foot through a banana plantation. Cornered and wounded, Gacha fired at a helicopter with a German submachine gun. His shots gave away his position. Police responded with bursts of machine gun fire from above. A bullet struck him in the leg, bringing him down. Moments later, another hit him in the face, killing him. 2 days later, thousands gathered in his hometown of Pacho for his funeral. Estimates put the crowd at as many as 15,000 people. Pacho Herrera. In 1996, Helmer Herrera, one of the four leaders of the Cali cartel known as Pacho, surrendered to Colombian authorities after the other bosses had been arrested. Unlike the Rodriguez or Uella brothers, he operated in the shadows, rarely appearing in public and almost never being mentioned by name. But even in prison, he had enemies. The Cali cartel had long been in conflict with the Norte del Valle cartel, a powerful offshoot. Rumors spread that Herrera had betrayed their leader, Orlando Anao, by giving information to the DEA. On November 6, 1998, during a football match inside the prison, Rafael Angel Uribe Serna entered the field. He was no stranger. He had been close to Herrera for years and even worked as an advisor. Herrera reportedly stopped the game to greet him. They hugged. At that moment, Uribe suddenly pulled out a gun and shot Herrera 7 times in the head. Other inmates captured him and guards took him away. Herrera died soon after in the hospital. Uribe later claimed Herrera had threatened his family. Investigators doubted this. Many believed he acted under orders from the Norte del Valle cartel. Arturo Beltran Leiva. Once called El Jefe de Jefes by his gunmen, Arturo Beltran Leiva rose within the Sinaloa cartel alongside his brothers, running security and drug routes for El Chapo. But after his brother Alfredo was arrested in 2008, the Beltran Leiva clan blamed El Chapo for betraying them. They broke away, formed their own cartel, and allied with Los Zetas, turning Mexico into a battlefield between former partners. By late 2009, the Mexican government made Arturo one of its top targets. On December 11th, he threw a lavish Christmas party at a mansion in Cuernavaca. Mexican Navy Special Forces raided the house, killing 3 of his men. Arturo escaped. 5 days later, intelligence led the Navy to another luxury apartment where he was hiding. Around 200 Marines, backed by tanks and helicopters, surrounded the building. A 90-minute gun battle followed. His men hurled grenades, but Marines rappelled from helicopters and stormed the building. When it was over, Arturo and 3 of his men were dead. Days later, gunmen assassinated family members of a Marine killed in the raid. A banner left at a kindergarten warned of further reprisals. El Señor de los Cielos. On July 4th, 1997, Amado Carrillo Fuentes, known as El Señor de los Cielos, Lord of the Skies, entered a private hospital in Mexico City to change his face. By then, he was one of the most powerful drug lords in Mexico, head of the Juarez Cartel, worth an estimated $25 billion. Under growing pressure from U.S. and Mexican authorities, he believed plastic surgery could buy him time. At Santa Monica Hospital, he underwent major facial reconstruction and liposuction. But the operation did not go as planned. Whether from a bad reaction to medication or a malfunctioning respirator, complications set in. In the early hours of July 5th, he was dead. The most powerful trafficker in Mexico had died not in a shootout, but on an operating table. Rumors spread that he had faked his death. The government publicly displayed his body to silence speculation. Months later, the 2 surgeons who performed the operation were found murdered. The Juarez cartel quickly descended into chaos. Ramon Arellano Felix, one of the leaders of the Tijuana cartel, Ramon built a reputation as one of Mexico's most ruthless traffickers. By the late 1990s, he was on Mexico's most wanted list and added to the FBI's 10 most wanted. On February 10, 2002, while driving in Mazatlan, a police officer pulled him over for a traffic violation. What seemed routine exploded into violence. Ramon pulled a gun and shot the officer twice in the chest. Even as he collapsed, the officer fired back, hitting Ramon in the head and killing him instantly. Both men died in the exchange. Some accounts claim the stop was no accident, suggesting El Chapo had arranged it to eliminate a rival. Within weeks, Ramon's brother was arrested, and the Tijuana cartel began to collapse. Francisco Rafael Arellano Felix. On October 18, 2013, Francisco Rafael was celebrating his 64th birthday in Los Cabos with around 80 to 100 guests. Just after 8 p.m., a man dressed as a clown entered the party. He blended in long enough to get close. When he was only a few feet away, he pulled out a pistol and shot Francisco in the head and chest. Guests panicked as the gunman escaped through a back door to a waiting SUV. The motive was never fully clear. Authorities suggested revenge over old debts or rivalries. Security at the party was unusually low, and many guests left before police could question them. Heriberto Lazcano, a former soldier who defected from the Mexican army, Lazcano helped create Los Zetas. By the late 2000s, he was one of Mexico's most wanted men, with multi-million-dollar rewards offered for his capture. On October 7, 2012, acting on a tip about armed men at a baseball game, Mexican Marines moved in. Lazcano and a bodyguard opened fire from a white van. The shootout killed both of them and one Marine. Fingerprint tests confirmed his identity. But before officials could publicly announce his death, masked gunmen stormed the funeral home and stole his body. It has never been recovered. Griselda Blanco, known as the godmother of cocaine, she was central to the Miami drug wars of the 1970s and 1980s. Her empire reportedly brought in $80 million a month. She was credited with popularizing motorcycle drive-by shootings. In 1985, she was arrested in California and later deported to Colombia. On September 3, 2012, while leaving a butcher shop in Medellin, a man on a motorcycle shot her twice in the head. She was killed in the same style of assassination she had once popularized. José Chepe Santa Cruz Londoño, a founding leader of the Cali Cartel, Chepe escaped from La Picota prison in Bogotá in 1996. After Escobar's death, attention shifted to Cali. Paramilitary commander Carlos Castano and corrupt officials allegedly agreed that Chepe had to die. An ambush disguised as a police checkpoint ended his life. Nacho Coronel Ignacio Coronel Villarreal, known as Nacho, or the King of Crystal, dominated methamphetamine production. On July 29, 2010, Mexican soldiers tracked him to a luxury home in Zapopan. He resisted. In the firefight, he killed one soldier and wounded another before being shot dead. Inside, authorities seized millions in cash, weapons, and luxury items. Pablo Escobar. On December 2, 1993, Escobar was hiding in Medellin after escaping his private prison, La Catedral. Colombian special forces, using U.S. technology, tracked a phone call he made to his family. As police closed in, Escobar tried to escape across rooftops. A gunfight broke out. He was shot multiple times. The fatal bullet struck his head. Some believe police fired it. Others believe Escobar killed himself. His death marked the fall of the Medellin cartel. More than 25,000 people attended his funeral.